Amazing presentation. The idea of following that is very humbling. I want to thank Awais Khan because as he was talking, I realized that his perspective really would change my whole presentation. And the reason was, as he was talking about expectations, all these expectations, I realized that as a little girl, I didn't really have any expectations. The expectation was that I would be cute and sweet and well-behaved. I was an abject failure at all of this. Okay. Always asking questions. One of the things that really helped me, though, was that my mother taught me to read at a very early age. So by 4, I was reading books by myself. And books are wonderful. They expose you to a whole new world. Real worlds, imaginary worlds. And so I thought, you know, all these other people had expectations. Why didn't I have expectations? Well, you know, you can sit around waiting for other people to expect something, but you can make your own expectations. So I decided I would. And one of them was, I really was jealous of Awais. Somebody cared about what he got in school. And nobody ever asked me what I got in school, ever. But I wanted to get A's. So I decided, I don't care if nobody else cares, I care. So I got A's. Okay. And getting A's is very useful for many things, like getting scholarships to college. So I did. And when I got to college, I found a whole community of people who did care and who were wonderful role models and who set standards that we should meet and expected us to fulfill our promise. It was wonderful. One of the things that was going on when I was a little girl was in the United States, there were many places that were still segregated. I noticed that, you know, lots of people weren't expected to fulfill their promise. I noticed that my mother, who had a very difficult time supporting us, worked very hard, but she could never be a salesman because she was a woman. And even though she trained every salesman the company ever had, she couldn't be a woman because, of course, men have to support their families. She did too, of course. But I watched some of these injustices, and at the same time in our country, wonderful things were happening. The Supreme Court ruled that schools couldn't be segregated. And the civil rights movement began, and the women's movement started to pick up. And it was a wonderful time of change. And one of the things during that time, John Kennedy was elected president. And one of the things that he said during his inauguration speech was very important. He said, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." And that was amazing to me, not just because it was inspiring, but because I realized I could do something for my country. This had never occurred to me before, okay? That I could do something to make a change. And so as I went through college, and we had lots of sit-ins and all kinds of things, the change happened, and it was wonderful. And I wanted to go to graduate school, but I didn't have any money. This is something many of you will encounter. So I had to get a job. And at that time, the Department of Social Services was hiring anybody who was warm with a college degree. And they hired me, and I got much better training than I had any right to expect. And then I really saw people who had been discriminated against and not given what they were due. And so I learned that I needed to get more education. I needed to do more to help people. So I went to graduate school, got a degree. One of the things I learned during the summers, when I'd go back to work at the agency, most social workers are wonderful people, but they're not great at math. And so I would get all the jobs that nobody else wanted that had to do with math. So I got to do some research, and I really liked it. Now, I could ask questions and get paid. I mean, it was wonderful. So, excuse me. So I did, and I went along, and I decided I'd go to get a doctorate, and I did. Now, you may be wondering, so how did I get to Pakistan? So, during our doctoral program, there were these two fellows who were accepted for a United States State Department program for social scientists, Islamization and modernization in Pakistan. And I thought it was wonderful for them. I didn't pay much attention to what they said, but I was happy for them. Well, one night, they showed up at my house and said, in those days we didn't have laptops, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have a lot of things. And they said, we know you always keep a copy of your resume, give it to us. Okay, what for? We'll tell you tomorrow. So the next day, well, what was that all about last night? Well, the State Department said they didn't have enough women. So unless we could find another woman, none of us could go. So we applied for you, and you've been accepted. I didn't even know where Pakistan was. So, but it was a wonderful opportunity, and we have to seize opportunities that come our way. So I talked it over with my family, and I took advantage of it. And as I came to Pakistan, I found was amazing. I had been thinking about dissertation topics, and one or two of them had gone down the tube because they were conflicts with my agency. So I got to Pakistan, and now remember, I liked public welfare, systems, religion, women, old people, children. Pakistan had a brand new public welfare system, a religious public welfare system, and I could study it. So I did. I went back and got a grant and studied it. And over the years, that was incredibly meaningful to me. But most of the time, I just went along and was a good career civil servant until the governor, for whatever reason, decided that we didn't need higher level civil servants, so he fired all of us. Seemed like a disaster at the time. But first I went to work with a friend at the International Center on Global Aging and eventually took over that from him. And I began to do more research in Pakistan again and come back to Pakistan. In one of those trips, I was meeting with someone, the Secretary of Social Welfare, who said, you know, oh, we don't have a problem with aging in Pakistan because all Pakistani sons take care of their aging parents. And I said, how do you know? Do you have any data? And to their intellectual credit, they said, we don't have anything. So the three of us ended up forming a partnership to do research in Pakistan on aging. And the data that we pulled together was what Pakistan had used, or did use, in the 2002 UN Summit on Aging. And we continued to look at aging in Pakistan and found that while many people take care of their aging parents, many don't. And some of the very poorest people in Pakistan are older people. So about this time, somebody else signed me up, said I'd be a great executive director for the Fulbright Foundation. And at that time, they didn't expect much. It was a teeny-weeny little program that sent just a few people every year to the United States. And really, I was supposed to, just have honest administration of applications and efficient money handling. That's all they really expected. But I managed to hire a wonderful team of people, and we grew that teeny-weeny little program into the largest sending Fulbright program in the world. And we exceeded the State Department's expectations for sure. Okay. But during that time, I had a wonderful opportunity to go to many universities in Pakistan, including this one, and to meet some of the most wonderful students any place. Well, I retired from that, and I went home, but I got bored. So Dr. Armacost invited me back to come back to Pakistan, and I came for 7 years as dean. But I think what I really want to say to all of you is that I know I don't have the courage of the former speaker, but I think that all of us can do things that we don't even really know we can do. But we have to believe in ourselves, and we have to see the need that other people have for us to do something about it. So you may ask, so what does this have to do with you? Okay? So what I wanted to say to all of you today is, as educated people, all of you as students are already in the top 10% of Pakistan in terms of education. That gives you enormous power, and it gives you enormous opportunity to help people. Now, eventually, some of you may discover the cure for cancer or find some great astrophysical thing, and that would be wonderful. But don't wait to win the Nobel Prize. You can do amazing things and help other people just where you are. So I'm going to give you all at least 2 assignments, maybe 3 assignments for your student break. The first one, I'm a professor, I always give assignments, The first one, someone in your family surely will be expecting a baby. And I want you, with your education, to explain to that family that in order to have a little boy baby, you have to have a Y chromosome. And it doesn't come from mama. So it doesn't matter what she ate, or what she did, or if it's a girl baby, which I think is great, if it's a girl baby, if it's on anybody, it's on Papa. If you explain, one of the things I found in protective services was that a lot of times people were cruel because they didn't understand biology or child development. And so one of the things that you can do just by explaining this simple thing to the father, to the mother-in-law, to the mother, thousands of women in Pakistan every year are verbally abused, beaten, starved, and face all kinds of unpleasant things because they've delivered a girl. So if you go home and you tell people in your family about the Y chromosome, you can save somebody untold harm and help that whole family to be a better family. That's the first assignment. Second assignment. Pakistan has the highest rate of breast cancer in Asia. In Pakistan, the fatality rate for breast cancer at 5 years is something like 89%. And it's not because breast cancer isn't curable. It is curable, but you have to find it early. So why don't people go to the doctor? Well, you know, for the most part, men control who goes to the doctor, what money gets spent on. But a lot of times the problem is that the woman doesn't want to talk about breasts or any other female parts. And so she waits until it's a horrendous situation. Okay. One of the things that you can do is to educate your mother, sister, grandmother, aunts, cousins about breast cancer, and not just the women. Educate the men, because if they can get their wives and loved ones to tell them they're having a little symptom and go to the doctor, or better still, go get a mammogram if there are no symptoms. If you tell them about these things, you can save someone's life, someone you love. Now, if you're shy about talking about breasts and can't do those things, for heaven's sake, if you want to do something nice for somebody, talk to your grandmother and take her for a walk. Older women in Pakistan often do not have the opportunity to meet with their peers. You know how it is. The older guys get together in the morning and they go to the mosque and then they go for tea, right? You've seen this model. The women don't have a comparable opportunity. And in many places, they don't go out of the house much. So older women may do a lot of work around the house, but they don't get the kind of exercise they need, and they don't see their peers, which is incredibly important for their medical health. So this vacation, if you love your grandmother, take her for a walk, and take her for a walk to see your friends. So what I'm saying to all of you is that even if you have fairly modest expectations for yourself, or none at all, as I started out with, you can make a difference in the world. You can set your own expectations. And as people who have education, you have enormous power. You are the future of Pakistan, and you can do wonderful things. So take that power, seize it, and use it for the better good of your country. Thank you.